So should we just kick it off? But so welcome back to another episode of the M-PWRD Podcast. Today I'm joined by Dylan.
Nice
Dylan,
to be here.
yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad to get you in. So I'll get you to kind of say a little bit about what it is that you do. But basically, I'll let you say what it is that you do.
I'm a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
I've been tattooing for about 10 years. Worked in Newcastle for about 8 years in a studio there called Pure Ring.
Yeah.
Recently set up my own studio in Chesley Street, where you came to get your chest piece.
I was going to say Dylan did my tattoos, but then I was going to ruin your intro. So I didn't want to ruin your intro because it would have been weird if you then weren't a tattoo artist. You were just someone I know who's just doing tattoos. But obviously we got chatting when you were doing my tattoos, and I just thought it was really interesting, kind of how you got into being a tattoo artist, because I feel like it's one of those jobs and it's one of those industries where, like, tattoo art, like from the outside looking in, tattoo artists exist. You know that, it's a good self-employed industry, but I don't think it's very clear to the outside world, like how you get into an industry like that.
There's no college courses or anything like that. That would be a good start.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to take it into schools, but there's a lot of barriers that you've got to cross.
Yeah.
Before you can get it there. I mean, before you can give kids needles, there's obviously going to be...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you think what do you think the main kind of barriers are then to getting a job like being a tattoo artist, which is a career as well? Do you know what I mean? It's not like the people who I know who are tattoo artists, if you're good and if you like really care about your work like you do, and if you focus on it like as an art and as a serious business, it's an incredible way to build a business and make money. But what do you think it is that's kind of holding that back then, getting into...
I think it's not really anything holding it back. It's you probably holding yourself back.
Right.
I think taking that first step and just asking questions on how you would go about getting an apprenticeship and stuff like that, because you just don't have the knowledge.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So it's the knowledge that you obviously need to get started. But the way I did it was I got an apprenticeship. At the time, my apprenticeship cost £500.
Right.
Now, when I took my apprentices on, I didn't charge them anything.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty much wanting to just give them what I wished at, like the start that I had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and obviously I had to borrow that money off my mother.
Right, okay,
back in the day, because we didn't have £500, you know what I mean, when you were 19 or whatever. And
yeah.
So, I got an apprenticeship through a studio.
Yeah.
And then you kind of just build up your fake skin work, and then you would go on to getting people in that like your friends and stuff like that, to tattoo on, and then build your portfolio up.
Right.
And then eventually, hopefully, you would start tattooing in that studio.
I think what you said there, like the way that you wanted to teach your apprentices the stuff that you wish that you'd known, I think that's always the best way to approach education, because you kind of reverse engineer it from the information you wish you had readily available at the 100%. Time, and you're almost like, because you're teaching those people, you're almost teaching the younger you, and I think that's you're going back and you're saying, right, what would 19-year-old Dylan have wanted to know, or what 100%. Could have like accelerated you to the point that you're at now, quicker.
Yeah. Even like the smallest of things, like now, looking back, like some of the things, I mean, I'm not knocking anything out. That was obviously the way they did it. Yeah. But I've obviously got a structure now from A to Z on how to do a tattoo, what needles you use, inks. I know exactly how everything heals when you use these needles, so I stick with the same formula that works. Yeah. But looking back now, it was kind of just any sort of size needles that were available, just use and stuff like that. And you cannot do that.
Do you not feel like that sort of industry? I mean, I've noticed from the outside looking in, but it seems like it's way more professional now. Techniques and the actual standard of work that's coming out
over the past 10 years is ridiculous. When I first started, it was just tribal.
Yes,
tribal. And praying hands.
Yeah,
and that was it. Rosemary beads.
Yeah,
and it was just pick one off the wall.
Yeah,
just come in. I want number 30. Whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Was that your first tattoo, kind of one picked off the wall? Was that the...
Tribal.
Yeah.
Tribal on the wall.
Nice.
I was 15.
Yeah. So is that how you found out about the tattoo artist that you did your apprenticeship with? did you go there for a tattoo? Was that kind of a natural progression in?
No, so what it was I actually got, before I got an apprenticeship, I was a plasterer at the time, hated it, and me daughter's mother, she got us a cheap tattoo kit from, I don't know, just for offline, and she just said, just give it a go, because everybody was saying, why don't you do something to do with art? But to try and make a career out of being an artist is just, I mean, good luck with that, you know what I mean? Because you're just competing with just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I got the kit. Lost track there, but I got the kit.
Yeah.
Was practicing at home.
Right.
Did a few on fake skin and whatnot, but you can only get so far without people teaching you.
Yes.
So I went round every studio on foot, because I remember I rang a place and I said, are you looking for any apprentices? And he was like, nah.
Right.
Just without even...
Yeah. Doesn't even know if you're good or not.
Didn't even ask anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. So then I actually saw him at the gym, because he was going to the same gym as I was going to. And I said, oh, I actually rang you. And I was thinking about getting into tattooing. And he was like, well, I don't know who's ringing us. You know what I mean? And I was like, you got to go on foot.
Yeah.
Just so people can, gauge that you're...
Yeah.
you're
See that you're a normal person who
Exactly.
seems keen.
Exactly. So I went round on foot, drove around different places, ended up there, and he said he was looking for a place. So,
and you went in there and just basically said you'd be interested in coming and shadowing him from an apprenticeship standpoint. I think it's really interesting that it's a great way to kind of channel, like you said there, if you want to be an artist, it's a great way to actually make money from art. Art's notoriously a hard thing to make money from, because one, it's so subjective. Like, just because you think something's good doesn't mean other people see like an extrinsic value in it. I mean, I think this is true, but Van Gogh wasn't a famous painter while he was alive. It was only after he died that his art became famous.
Yeah.
How
you can say that with like so many. I was just having a conversation with that about Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah.
We were talking about the age of them when they died.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I think Tupac was 24, maybe.
That's
23.
mad.
Biggie was 25 or 24. They were both roughly about the same age.
Yeah.
But they were like
You think about them being
20s
so
in
old, don't they?
And it's Biggie and Tupac.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think sometimes, I mean, it's not nice to say, but the death does raise people's
Jimi
stocks
Hendrix
a bit.
was 27 when he died. Can you believe that? The amount of work that they put out there. And then I do think, well, I always say that if 50 Cent had died after his second album, he'd be bigger than Tupac and Biggie.
So many, you can say
because
that about most of them.
Yeah, because I think
Snoop Dogg.
I think 50 Cent, especially because of how good his first two albums were. If he died after them, he'd have been bigger than Tupac. Because then you can argue their trajectory. You can argue how good someone was going to be, and you don't really need to be able to back it up, or they don't give themselves a chance to mess up, and they don't give themselves a chance to become Eminem and start just
growing a beard.
Oh, just
getting weird.
The worst. Yeah, your beard is weird. Yeah, honestly. But yeah, so it's obviously it's a notoriously difficult. People who are artists, realistically, they're either doing it during their academia, or they've got such a safety net that it doesn't really matter if their art does well or not. But then something like tattooing, and I've always obviously there's the stereotypical kind of conceptions that people have about tattooing, which was it was always, it wasn't.
I think that's 80% gone now, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, it used to be, even I was told when I was leaving school and stuff like that if I had tattoos, I wouldn't be able to go in nightclubs and stuff like that.
It was like that.
But then by the time I got to go to nightclubs, that wasn't the case.
Okay.
And it was more about what you looked like and stuff like that. Obviously,
I think there's a thing to be said about how you carry yourself.
Yes. How you, obviously you can, if you got a swastika tattooed on your cheek,
I mean,
then
it's gonna be.
You know what I mean?
It's hard to get away from that one,
Yeah, it's hard to be I'm just expressing myself. So it's but yeah, I definitely think that celebrities and people like David Beckham. I know.
Beckham, I swear to God. I mean, I've got a cross of wings on my back.
Yeah.
I think he started it.
Yeah.
He started the whole thing.
Yeah.
The religious trend. Everybody jumped on the religious thing.
Yeah. So I think that
still is now.
I think it's definitely massively changed, and I see a lot of stuff. a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. So people will talk about like tattoos in the workplace and stuff like that. And there seems to be a shift there as well. People talking about people having like tattoos on show in the workplace, and then some people are still going like, it depends on the job, it depends on the industry, and you know, you can kind of.
I honestly don't think it's that strict anymore.
Yeah, well,
I tattoo a policeman.
Yeah.
Policeman.
Well, I think that's
I did one on his neck.
I think that's what it is. It's like it's public opinion changing, but it's good to see because obviously I was like a little bit worried about, especially having like tattoos on show and people kind of taking me seriously from a work perspective. And actually, for me, it was two people kind of put my like mind at ease about them. So before I got my first tattoo, I used to, and he's actually been on the podcast, M-PWRD. He was I worked at his gym, and he got a full sleeve, and I was like, and that was the green light. That was the green light because I was working as a personal trainer. It was like, he's got one, that's it, I'm getting one. But then
you were unsure whether to get one as a personal trainer? Or were you just not sure what,
I just wasn't sure that like people were like, I was worried, like my parents used to say I wouldn't get a job if I had tattoos.
That's probably the old school mentality.
Yeah, they would be like, you won't get a job if you have tattoos. And they just, you know, they didn't have positive things to say because they were like conservative in that respect. But then when James got his, I was like, well, I work for him and he's got one. So I'm going to have a job. Yeah. But then as I like left the fitness industry and moved in like the education industry, I was then starting to like worry again. I'm not a huge worrier, but like, you know, I want to give myself the best possible opportunity to succeed.
I think you've got a nice balance because you're actually quite heavily tattooed.
Yeah.
But you would never think it.
Yeah.
You know, when you sat there.
Yeah. For now.
For now.
For now. But then it was actually a guy, so M-PWRD, the main investor in that. I went for a meeting with him before I started M-PWRD, and I noticed he had a tattoo sleeve, and he was like a really successful business person who I looked up to, and I saw he had a tattoo sleeve, and honestly, I just felt so good about it. And do you know what that means? It's representation.
It's how you put yourself across. It's not. I don't think the tattoos speak for you. It's like how you put yourself across with. But
I feel really good when I see people with tattoos doing well. It makes me feel good. I don't know. Do you ever get that or not?
It's definitely different when you see somebody that's usually online or whatever, and they're doing really well for themselves, and they are heavily tattooed. Yeah, it's like you've managed to get through that sort of
stigma.
The stigma.
But it makes me feel good because it's like they've expressed themselves. They haven't felt like they had to change or hide. Or
it's rare, mine.
Yeah,
it's rare.
But I think that's just because like there's not that many people who are
heavily tattooed.
Yeah. I mean, there is probably more than there used to be, but there's still not.
And I think usually are people that are already in careers where they're just like a rock and roll star or whatever.
Yeah.
They're already in there, they've made the money or whatever, so they're like, fuck it, I'm just going to
I'll just get some tattoos.
It goes with the theme of my life.
Yeah, or they're there now and they're in charge. But you know what I like? I'm never going to think anything of someone who's got like tattoos. I love them. I think they're great. I like people expressing themselves through their tattoos. And as I start like hiring more and more people, it just makes me feel good that kind of this generation is growing up and not taking people on face value and being like, oh, they've got a tattoo there for X, Y, or Z.
I never judge people on first impressions. Yeah. Because, you know, everybody's different not even from day to day, from hour to hour.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You don't know what kind of phone call they had 10 minutes ago that completely changed the tone of like their day.
Yeah.
So you could be the person that you met 1 hour, he could be a completely different version of him once he's getting out of that
getting
funk,
bad news or good news or whatever.
Whether or not they get tattoos or not.
Yeah. So it's just interesting to kind of see things progress in that sort of manner. So in terms of you moving from kind of working as a tattoo artist then to taking the plunge and say like setting up your own shop, what triggered that? Was it something that you knew you always wanted to do, or
that was always the end goal?
Right.
From a few years in. See, when I first started, the first year or so, it was rough because you didn't have Instagram.
Right.
I was actually and this is another thing what I didn't want for my apprentices moving on in being tattoo artists to happen as well. So we were because there wasn't, like now I've already got my bookings.
Yeah.
So they're up to 10-month time or whatever.
Yeah.
So I said, whoever walks in, then yours, you work it out amongst yourselves who gets it, tally it down, just take turns, whoever gets the walk-ins, I'm sorted.
Yeah.
But when I first started, it was like a pecking order.
Right. Okay.
So he was waiting for walk-ins, the bloke Bill, who owned the shop, really nice bloke, by the way, the bloke who owned the shop, then his daughter worked underneath him, and then there was me, so people had to come in threes for me to just get one.
Right. Okay.
Because it went back to the beginning. So you would have let's say Bill and Liz were tattooing, and then one of them finished and another person came in, it would go straight back to Bill. It would go straight back to Liz. So unless actually a group came in, I was sat doing nothing.
And how did you find clients when you first started? Just word of mouth, or like you tattooed some friends and stuff?
I thought you meant how to find them.
Right, yeah. How did you kind of gain clients when you first started?
Just word of mouth, but I didn't actually have clients until I moved over to Newcastle.
Right, okay.
It was slim pickings. It was nothing. I was just me and a Polish apprentice just played checkers all day.
Right, okay. Are you good at checkers then?
I'm all right at checkers. I'll have to bring the board in next time.
Okay.
So I just all day playing checkers.
Yeah.
And
watching
somebody came in.
Were you watching them? Were you watching them tattoo to like get ideas and stuff?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, so that's interesting then. So you started kind of before social media became the main way. So you've seen that.
Yeah. It was literally, you had to just sit in the shop and wait for people to come in.
Yeah.
And then I think I got Instagram. I got tattooed by a lad I know called Gav. He did my chest piece and stuff like that. And he had mentioned Instagram, and I was like, I'd never been heavily into like social media or whatever. Like people were
Facebook
doing
and stuff. Yeah.
And he said, "Have you got Instagram?" And I was like, "No, what's that?" And he was like, "Oh, you need to have Instagram, man, if you're like promoting your tattoos and stuff." So he showed us it. And then I downloaded it and it went from there. But that wasn't until about 3 years in.
Yeah, and did that change the game for you?
100%. That and working in Newcastle City Centre.
Is that because you had more foot traffic?
Yeah.
Right.
Pure
okay.
Ink, they had already been established for about 7 years, maybe 6-7 years.
Right.
So they were already sort of bringing in like a flow of walk-in customers.
Right.
So that's how it sort of built up.
And then in terms of the social media side of things, you were just kind of posting the work that you'd done.
Yeah.
And then that gives people a chance to see what you were capable of.
Like again, it does take time. It does take time to build up, but you just got to keep at it. And just if you know that if you want to do something, if you really want to do it and you're happy doing it and you enjoy doing it, just keep at it, because people will realise that you're out putting the work in.
So will you help your apprentices with that side of things as well?
Oh, absolutely.
With the
I was
social
taking
media?
most of their pictures.
Right.
Just giving them some guidance on it, because there's been a lot of, like, Chloe, for example, she wanted to make a page fully black and white.
Right.
But I know through experience, I've tried all ways of changing pictures, changing the changing the effects.
Right, okay.
Putting effects on, just trying your best to make your page look good and presentable so people came, but you find out that people like the most sort of true to life version, but you're not underserving yourself by putting on like a shitty lighting picture or whatever, but you're not overdoing it, so when people actually came in to get tattooed, they go, why does my tattoo not look like the one on the picture?
Yes.
The ones that you've been putting, you know what I mean?
So you need to make it so that you're managing people's expectations,
exactly,
but you're also giving a good representation.
Good representation of yourself.
Yeah. So that's another thing, isn't it? It's interesting that with a career, like a self-employed career, like obviously what you're doing, you've got to be so much more than just good at your job. Like,
there's everything.
You're probably, I used to say this about personal training, you're better off being a good personal trainer who's amazing at marketing than an amazing personal trainer who's just okay at marketing.
And then you've only got the power of word of mouth.
Yeah.
And good luck.
Yeah.
Because I've been in that position and it's not, I mean, it is, you came to me through a friend.
Yes.
And there is a lot of that happening, but nowhere. Like,
so do you think most people see your work on social media and then
Instagram?
But
I don't post anywhere else.
Yeah. So
on Instagram, I think I should. I definitely should. But a lot of, I mean, the schedule of getting up, getting to work, tattooing all day, replying to messages when I get in, drawn for the next day, actually trying to see my family and stuff like that. If I was messing about trying to make TikTok videos and trying to do all this and this, I'm giving up something. Do you know what I mean? I'm giving up time in my day that I should be focusing on the tattoos, because there's a lot that goes into it. I would say, keeping on top of stuff like that.
So do you see yourself kind of transitioning more into the point where you're doing less tattooing and more kind of managing the business, or are you always going to wanting to be?
I'll be stepping back.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'll always tattoo.
Yeah, but you want to get to
I enjoy it.
the stage where the shop's extremely busy and you can kind of grow a brand around it. Yeah, so that's the kind of
that's the goal.
That's the goal moving forward, and you just see the main thing being kind of social media and making sure that everybody who's working there is putting really good stuff out there and kind of increasing the visibility. Yeah, it's interesting that you saw the development, because a lot of people are kind of getting into business or getting into an industry, and they're already in the social media era.
People are so lucky.
Yeah,
that there's so many different platforms, and that like they're getting such a good start. I mean, the girls, when they started, women, sorry, when they first started, I mean, Beth and Chloe as well, they had their full month, right, booked in before they even started tattooing. Yeah. They had a month's worth of like client.
The thing is, though, they'll never,
which is crazy.
They'll never realise their checkers potential, though. They'll never be good at. They'll never be good at checkers.
They'll never ever know.
They'll never know if they were good or not.
No.
Do you know what I mean? There's silver linings.
There's a positive that comes out of it.
Yeah. So that's really it's good that you've kind of took that plunge and that you've gotten into like kind of running your own business and realizing that, because I was in the same position, obviously being when I was back in the personal training industry, and you realize that you're kind of trading time for money. And it's like, right, so I've got X amount of time. Okay. That means I can make X amount of money because I can only make, if I'm personal training 8 hours a day and I'm charging £35 an hour, I can only make 8 times 35.
You're limited. That's
so I'm just trading every bit of money that I'm making. I'm just swapping my time for it. Yeah. Whereas when you get to the stage where you've got your own facility, you start leveraging like other people's time based on like how it's like kind of set up and stuff like that. So it's just that. It's interesting that you without kind of any training in that sort of area. So like you had your tattoo training. Do you find it was like kind of intuitive then that you realized that that's what you wanted to do?
What's it?
Like the fact that you wanted to kind of, not just tattoo, but go into the kind of business side of things, without any like formal business training.
That just, I feel like that just came with time.
Yeah. Because
you're always looking for the next thing to do, and that was just next on the list. I didn't even know what was going to even happen when I got there. I've got no idea about business, and you know what I mean. I've had no training in that. Yeah, but you kind of just ask people if you don't know things. You just ask, because people are there willing to help.
Here's an interesting one. You work with a load of different people from loads of different backgrounds. How do you find that's influenced your ability to grow? Because I found when I was like spending a lot of time with people, you're spending people. And they're kind of basically for maybe 6 hours just lying there and talking to you. I know not everyone talks, but do you feel like you've got a captive audience? And if you're tattooing someone who owns a business or someone who's
you can definitely sponge information while there. And there's something about tattooing, right, that just seems to open everybody up.
There's something about that pain, isn't there?
They feel the pain, and then that's it. Everything just like the wall comes down. It doesn't matter how hard they were when they walked in. Just everything just spills out. It's like a therapy session.
Do you remember my like sudden change in persona when you started tattooing my sternum? Was I a different person?
You were so confident. Until then, you come in like this is going to be a good day.
The chest felt fine because it's obviously fleshy and stuff, isn't it? And then just hitting that sternum, man.
I don't know why. That's so funny.
You like that,
even 10 years in, it's still hilarious. Especially when people aren't expecting it. And then they go, it hurts here. And I'll be like, it's your sternum.
I'm drilling into your chest.
There's a needle in your sternum bone, almost. Do you know what I mean? So that's gonna tickle.
It's when you don't expect it though.
That's the funniest.
And because
When they're saying like, I had no idea that this was going to hurt that much.
and because
like,
I never use numbing cream, I feel like I wouldn't want to use numbing. Have you ever used numbing cream?
I've never used numbing cream, and I don't think I would. In fact, the only time I would ever suggest numbing cream is if somebody's getting a small tattoo.
Right.
Because from my experience, from what I've seen, when people do use it, it wears off after an hour and a half, and then they can barely cope after it.
Really?
The pain comes back twofold.
And that's because they weren't kind of broken in.
The body, I think your body's got like natural painkillers that will kick in for you to help you, to stop you from passing out and stuff, to help you deal with it.
Yeah.
So I don't think your body has a natural like chance to just get yourself sort of built up and ready for it and get through it.
I think for me the main one, if you're getting a big tattoo, is making sure you've had enough sugar. So like if you're getting like 2-3 hours in, you probably need to get some more glucose in you, because it's adrenaline, isn't it, usually that kind of like gets you through. Once something people don't realize is that once you've been over an area for a couple of minutes, it starts to go a bit numb.
That's what I'm talking
And
about.
that-
The natural painkillers.
yeah.
I think your body does send painkillers.
Yeah, because it's like, this mustn't, because your body kind of is figuring out, and it's going, this mustn't be a real problem if
Yeah.
we're just sitting here.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Aye,
Like we had
yeah.
every opportunity to get up and fuck off.
You
And
start to
we've-
understand
yeah,
that what's
yeah.
going on, and like we're here for the long haul.
Yeah, this is our reality now, and we just need to get through it. Yeah. So, what kind of what was your first tattoo? The tribal.
The tribal. 15-year-old. My
Yeah.
mum came with us to sign the form to say that I was 18.
That's good.
She's cool. Like that.
Supportive.
She's all right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How old would your children have to be to get before they got a tattoo? Would you sign the form at 15?
I mean, you wouldn't. In any form, I would be doing the tattoo.
Yeah.
That's
That's
what. Be going to anybody else.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to sign the form, but the hypothetical form.
It's a strange one, you know, and I've spoke about this before, where there's something about. I mean, my boy, I might be all right with my boy, but there's something about harming your Ben, even if it's just for a tattoo. Do you know what I mean? Like actually putting that needle in and stuff.
I don't think
would
about it
feel
as
very
pain though.
I
Like
feel very strange about doing that. I think just in. I don't know.
it does hurt, but it's character building. Like you even said, like when you see people who've got tattoos, you know that they've
there's respect there, right?
Yeah.
Because you know what they've been through. You know.
Yeah. So I wouldn't even, because it's not damaging pain.
It's not damaging
Do you know what I
pain.
mean?
I mean, just it goes everything against being a dad.
Yes. Yeah.
Just like
You
putting
don't-
dragging that needle through your Ben's skin.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
But
the
me,
thought
it's,
that I'm
me,
not
it's
really,
fine.
You
Me,
absolutely
it's fine. No, it doesn't like.
all the better.
Yeah.
No.
So how old would he have to be?
Oh boy. I would wait until he's 18. I would wait
You
until the
can't.
right
You don't
age.
make good decisions at
It's just-
15. If you let him get one at 15, the good thing is
Even,
that you.
even
would-
18's young just for that reason, for the decision making.
The good thing is that you like that tattoo artist who tattooed you doesn't give a fuck. Do you know what I mean? If you're like, oh, you want a fucking tribal, do you? Well, it's my 8th
I'll
this week.
take this signed form as truth.
Yeah. You want a tribal, do you? Well, I've done this one 4 times this week, so this one will do. Just slap that on you.
Straight up.
But like, I guess with you, you'd be like, if you was like, oh, I want this, you'd be like, no, you don't.
Aye, absolutely.
Oh, I want
I
this.
said you probably want it now, but in 5 years' time, you'll hate that.
Yeah.
You will hate that.
Yeah, it would have to be something that you felt like would stand the test of time.
You never know if anything will. But saying that, if
I
you
think
know what
some
it
tattoos
is,
now stand the test of time more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some things, as long as they're done right, nobody could really take that away from it.
I feel like
You
it
can
has to
never-
mean some, like at least try and make it mean something to you, and then it does, and then it's
Yeah.
not like seasonal. You know, if someone comes in, they go, "I
There's
just
that,
want
aye.
a religious." I guess.
Well, if you're talking
they're
about
religious,
if you're
though, I
talking
guess-
about it being just all right for you,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
If it
it
just-
just stay all right for you, then
I mean,
some
that's all that
personal
really
will
matters,
work.
though. That's all that really matters, though, doesn't it? Because I imagine there's some people who see a tribal now and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's sick, man." Do you reckon? There must be some people who
Some
still
people
like see
maybe.
a tribal and they're like, "Wow, nice, man."
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but
When was the last tribal you did?
if I'd be going off the judgment, tribal about 6 or 7 years ago.
Really?
I just say no now.
You just say no to tribals.
Yeah.
Does somebody else get them? Or are they just not getting done in your shop?
They just don't get done.
In your shop?
Tribal line.
So even if someone
It's-
came in and you wouldn't pie them off onto somebody else and just say they'll do them?
I would, because just even tribals, just anything that we can't make really good.
Mm.
Where tribal's always just going to be a tribal.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. It doesn't really matter how neat your lines are and how well you pack in black.
Yeah.
The end result is always going to be a tribal.
Yeah.
And it's just it lowers your reputation, I would say.
By having a tribal.
Nowadays,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's
I
interesting.
mean, if you're just in it for the money,
yeah.
do 10 tribals a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just get your money. But
Yeah.
if you want to actually,
You want to create
make a
something
decent
good,
name
and
for
that's
yourself,
when that brings us back to the art, doesn't it? Like you being an artist and
a tattoo artist. See, that's what I always say. Tattoo artist. People say tattooist.
tattoo artist.
A tattoo artist.
Nice.
Different.
Just
There's a difference.
yeah. I think so though. I definitely got that from you as well, and I think that from our encounters, it just goes to show that regardless of the industry that you go into and what it is that you want to do, if you apply yourself, if you care about it, like if you apply yourself, try your best and give a shit, you can be better than 90% of people, because 90% of people don't fall into those two categories.
That don't care, and they're just going through it just to try and just get through it.
And having like you give your input into the tattoos that you did for me, and giving your kind of what you think would work there, and
I would
your
only see
flair
some
on it.
people. Some people have told me stories where they went into a tattoo studio and they've said, "I want this," and then the person's been like, "Nah, I think you should get this." Do you know what I mean? And completely change the design. I would never ever do that.
Yeah.
I always say it, if the stronger the idea that you've got that you can bring to me,
Yeah.
the better, and then I'll tell you kind of what's going to work and where. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if something just really isn't going to work with something, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
But I would never just go, you shouldn't get that, you should get this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just because I've done it. That's the only reason I'm probably saying it, is because I've probably done it that way.
Yeah.
And then went, that doesn't look very good. I'll know that for next time.
Yeah.
And then when somebody asks, I'll say, look, I've done that before.
Yeah.
It didn't turn out great. Like.
Yeah. You like bears, do you? You're not throw out sharks. Sharks look better.
Look more of a shark kind of guy.
Yeah.
Kind of shark.
When I look at you, I don't see bear.
Nah, you look a bit more like aqua.
Yeah, you little slippery. You little slippery boy. So going back then to what you were saying about the getting it into schools and things like that.
Nobody got back to us.
Nobody got back to you.
Nobody got back to us.
I think definitely there is a...
I would love that though. If I was at school and somebody came in and said, look, you can make this much doing something that you love. I know you kind of do maths. I know you're shit at English, but you love drawing.
Yeah.
You can make that into a really successful career. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And all you got to do is this, this, and this.
This is what we need to break down, and I think this is... Social media's changed the game. Self-employment's changed the game. You know, this was the same with personal training. I think personal training and tattooing are pretty similar industries in the sense that they're people-centric. They're all about your ability to manage the digital tools that you have at your disposal. They're all about working for yourself and building something. And I think that...
And being able to work like with others one-on-one as well.
Yeah.
Because the thing that not only a good tattoo, but imagine if you went somewhere for a tattoo, you were really happy with the tattoo, but the whole time they just did not speak to you.
Yeah.
Or they went like that and just popped some headphones in.
Yeah.
And that was you. You'd be like, this is the bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sat here for 7 hours. You can at least say something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get that.
So you've got to be... You know,
You've
that
gotta
way
be a
inclined as well to just like
I think
to
this
make
is
them
where
have a decent
this is
day.
where our school system fails people though,
Aye.
because there isn't those roots. It's like people would rather you go to university and be miserable, or go into a salaried job in something that doesn't interest you and be miserable, than take a bit of a different route, which doesn't seem, because the people who are like teaching you, like nobody in the education industry is self-employed and entrepreneurial.
Okay,
Otherwise, you know, they're all salaried people who are, you know, your teachers and stuff. Like the nature of that job is that they are, you know,
I think I heard
they're
a
in
quote,
employment.
who said that? There was like a quote that touches on that, where he was like, the person that's teaching you business management at college or something like
Oh,
that
yeah, well, they don't
has
have-
never had a business.
Yeah,
Has never
why
had a
would
business.
they be there? Yeah, your business lecturer doesn't have a successful business. Otherwise, why would they be teaching you?
Why you're in school?
And that's why I love the kind of education that we do and the idea of online learning, because it opens that up to the point where, say you're a real busy tattoo artist, which you are, you could spend one day a week teaching people, which is kind of what you're doing with the apprentices. But imagine now you had like an online presence where you could be teaching to hundreds of tattoo artists, you know, just so you can like amplify your reach and be helping more people, because, you know, when you kind of like how we are, you want to be able to help as many people as you can. It's all about doing things at scale.
Absolutely.
So you can be tattooing Monday to Thursday. On a Friday, you're creating content which is teaching an online academy. And that's what I enjoyed, the idea of online learning, because then you can actually be learning from people who are successful. So when we did fitness courses, or people who are still doing it.
Or still doing it,
Because
exactly.
even if you've got people who have done it, say for example, you quit tattooing tomorrow and you go into teaching, all next year you'll be awesome. The year after that, you'll be really good. The year after that, you'll still be good. But the year after that, a few techniques changes. A bit of new equipment comes in.
Aye, absolutely,
You still don't have your hand in your industry.
Yeah.
There's new technique. There's new pens in. You know what? I mean, you were saying when you first started, they were real heavy. The pens
the
with
coil
the
machines,
and their back. They've got the load at the
big-
back, so
big
you
heavy back on it,
you had
coils.
you know huge forearms or one forearm. You had to, you said you were
forearm.
evening out the other forearm though on a night time. So,
Yeah, I was working on it.
yeah.
I was working on it.
So then it changed to like just the smaller pen, and then I imagine in the future, you know, you're going to be looking at like basically a pencil
I don't know
or whatever.
I don't know how much better you can get from now. If I'm
Yeah.
being honest. I'm sure there will be.
Just
People talk about the next stage being just one big scanner, just stand in it and do it. I can't imagine that.
what do they
I
imagine
can't
it's going
imagine
to
that
be?
happening. Just like a bit, like like a 3D.
Really?
Yeah.
And it just
Well, this is like a fantasy that people have.
right, okay.
You know what I mean?
Probably not you
It's not
though.
gonna happen.
That's
Oh,
not your
definitely not.
fantasy. I wouldn't imagine.
Unless I've got enough to buy one.
yeah,
and then put it in the
yeah,
studio.
That's true.
But,
yeah, that's a good idea. To be fair.
But I can't see that happening.
No, but yeah, I mean, there's got to be something that, you know, changes in terms of they get lighter or something, or like
there'll be
new
definitely changes.
ink,
and
or.
there'll just be different techniques that people will
Yeah.
start to develop their techniques on.
But if you don't use people who have still got a hand in the industry, you're never going to get that. You're never going to get that current, up to date.
Yeah.
And I think that's the
And people are
importance
still
of.
making mistakes.
Yeah,
People are still doing things right, and they're like, "Oh, that works," and then they still make mistakes, and they're like, "Fuck." So, and then you can teach people as you're
Yeah.
going along the things that you did wrong, so they don't do it.
yeah.
That's why I'm trying to keep on top of the lasses as well, because I made a hell of a lot of mistakes. You know what I mean?
What's the kind of one thing that you wish you'd known when you first got into the tattoo industry? What's the first thing that you wish you'd known? Like,
The first thing.
what's the one thing that you wish if you could tell yourself
Okay.
when you first started?
That's when my mind goes blank. Now.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Give yourself some time. We'll put some like loading music when this is when you
what,
think
loading
like some
music?
loading music. Do, 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 do.
Like
Yeah,
elevator.
yeah, elevator
Elevator
music.
The one thing
Or even
is
advice
put
that
in.
you'd give
Just,
someone else.
I would just say keep putting in the time.
Yeah,
Absolutely, because
it's just a numbers game. It's just a time
and
served.
save money.
Right.
I can't even like stress that enough. That people make £400 in a week and they'll spend 300 of it before they get paid next time.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you expect? You need to put yourself in a position
Mm-hmm.
to win when the opportunity comes.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You're never going to be in a position, like it takes money to open up your own business and studio and stuff like that.
I think that's the best bit of advice for anyone who's in one of those self-employed industries. That's good advice for people who are kind of similar thing to the fitness industry. I know I keep touching on it, but it's because I've got kind of reference points because I was in it for so long. You know, if someone pays you £300 for 10 sessions, 2 a week or something, you haven't made £300 that day.
Nah.
You've made, you know,
Absolutely.
£300 spread over the next
Yeah.
5 weeks. And that's one of the kind of most important things to kind of get your head around, that you need to budget your money, because the thing that people don't tell you is that you make your worst decisions when you have financial stresses. You know, you'll do work that you don't want to. You'll take
Yeah.
on clients that you don't want to work with.
That's right.
And you'll say yes to things that you should really say no to
Yeah.
because you don't have a choice because
Aye.
of the finances.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can get yourself in a
Block yourself
position,
into a corner, and it's a vicious circle.
yeah,
Because now you're doing yourself damage
yeah,
for the future by doing the things. It'll be like me reversing back to doing tribal because shit, I need the money.
yeah.
It'll be like, oh, he's just a sort of artist there, you know.
And
what
then
I mean?
someone lands on your page and they don't see anything like really good.
Aye, because then you're not going to have the content to put out there.
Yeah.
Because you're doing the wrong things.
And I think that just comes down to like having a bit of humility and knowing that it takes time.
yeah.
Like people will see.
Take away, there's the 10,000 hours, isn't there?
Yeah, but people will see you as well, like that you've done well, you've got your own shop, but they won't have seen they didn't see you playing checkers.
They didn't.
Do you know what I
see us
mean?
playing Checkers.
They didn't.
For years,
Yeah,
like for years, nothing.
yeah.
And struggles
They just wanted.
before it actually gets better.
Yeah,
So that's what I would probably tell myself. It's gonna get better.
yeah.
So just relax.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Chill.
Just
Do what you're doing. Just keep putting in the hours, and it'll get better.
yeah.
Everything's gonna be alright.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, it's been a
think
pleasure. I hope you come back.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely get you back, and yeah, looking forward to some UFC action
events.
this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
I'll let you know when we're what casino we're going to.
100%.
You can have a look at
I'm
it.
all over it. I will see you there.
Spot on,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.